So the first question comes from Nathaniel, and he asks, how are you going to keep the lads motivated and up for it, given the month of potential longer break?
Yeah, so the boys will start Saturday. So Jemiah, who we brought in as one of the coaching staff, obviously he's a lecturer in sport, obviously he can coach and stuff like that. So the boys have got their GPS trackers, and they'll have a program set up for the next 3-4 weeks. We'll be able to monitor what they're doing. There'll be set like team targets and stuff like that too.
And a question from Baden Mills, he asks, are you looking to strengthen the team? The reason I ask, Glover has gone, Alan has gone back to Forest Green.
Yeah, we're definitely looking to strengthen. We had a good meeting last night, looking at players, identifying players, both young players that are going to be projects, but also players that can come into the team now. But we're definitely looking to strengthen. We just got to make sure they're the right fit for us, and we're not just going for a name because they're big in non-league. They have to fit the way we want to play football.
Question from Joe Clues. He says, do you need a super sub? I don't mind dusting the boots off.
Clues, yes, Clues, when you're ready, mate.
This is a good question. It's from Peter Harper. He says, how confident are you that the future talent will be found from the homegrown players, i.e. through the scholarship scheme?
Yeah, there's a few. Obviously, we've signed one or two, Ramal and the Mayor. There's quite a few, obviously, in that scholars programme that we'll definitely start to see. In our last training session, we had 5 train with us, which was really good. But yeah, I'm pretty confident that we'll get a few through. We've got a lad, Morley, James May, again, really exciting young prospects as well. So yeah.
Question from James Hargreaves. Can we get Taylor Allen back for the rest of the season?
Well, it's a possibility. Obviously, we're going to see how it pans out, because obviously they're still playing. So it depends, obviously, how he gets on. I know he played last night in the EFL Trophy, I think it was, against, I think it was Grimsby or Swindon, when he played last night. So you never know, hopefully, because he's an exciting talent.
Question from Brad Craddock. He asked, how was the takeover? What did you say to the players before the Stratford game?
Yeah.
And did you give them confidence and motivation for the past 2 home games?
Yeah, so the Stratford game, myself and Deeksy, we just basically said to the lads, you don't want to come in and overcomplicate it straight away. So one thing that I recognised, we needed to be harder to beat and more solid. There's too many gaps between the lines, so that was a big thing. We said, make sure there's no gaps, know when to press and when not to, but when you get it, can you counter as quick as you can? And I think that 6-minute spell, we had it down to a T. So yeah, I think we just got the boys in, we just motivated them, just said, listen, there's a lot of good players, just be harder to beat. And then the last 2 games, we're now starting to get the identity across to the boys and how we want them to play. And we are going to be a very high energetic team off the ball. There's a lot of young lads there, but also we're going to be a team that plays football with a purpose and entertain the fans. So yeah, I think the last 2 performances are definitely starting to show what we're going to be about.
This is not really a question, but it's more of a statement from Stephen Cooper. He says, I know it's management spin and it's easy answer to say. We all do. All we do are the best every week, but support wants to hear, can we still win the league or at least be in the playoffs come the end?
Yeah, I did see that. For me, we're very humble, me and Deeksy and Jemiah. And what we do, we take it game by game. Obviously, we want to be in the top 6 and we want to get promotion, but also you can only affect that if you look at the next game. And first and foremost, minimum, that the lads are working hard. That is a given. And then you can start building on that once you get momentum and setting obviously targets. But for us, like I said, we're very humble. We'll take it game by game, never looking ahead. And I think if you do that and you approach it like that, we definitely will be climbing up the league. So I think we're 5 points off playoffs at the moment. You have 2 good wins and you're in 6 spots. So yeah, we'll take it game by game and obviously we'll see what happens.
Trevor Edwards asks, if you could have one Hednesford Town legend player back, who would it be? His would be Joe O'Connor.
It's an interesting one. I'm gonna go for 2. I'm gonna go for 3. 2 that I played with. So Mario, very good player, Portuguese under Phil Starbuck. And I'm also going to go for Steichi because he's obviously one of my good pals, absolute legend at the club. Maybe one day we can get him back, maybe next year, you never know. But who would I bring back? I thought Clements was a very good player midfielder. I think when you had Clemo, Ozzy and Elliot Durrell, played against them one time and Clements was an absolute joke, mate, so him, I say Clemo.
This is a question you may or may not be able to answer. Mickey Lewis asks, have the owners promised you a promotion bonus and are they willing to increase the budget for you?
No, we haven't. And listen, we've always said we'll always work within budget. I think that's important. The owners are very ambitious, but also they're not silly with their money. The club has to be maintained. So we could go and spend loads and loads of money this year, but is it sustainable? Does it help the club further on down the line? Obviously, maybe it doesn't, and then you don't know where the club goes. But for us, we're working with budget. I think, and Deeksy thinks it's a decent budget to get somewhere in this league. So yeah, the owners are good, and maybe this will push the question to get a bonus now.
Peter Blake asks, do you see any of the youth setup becoming first team regulars in the short term?
I think it's hard, especially what we've had in our scholars is there's a lot of first years. So I think we've got like 40 first years and only 9 second years because of how we've enrolled. So the physical aspects are always going to be tough. I definitely think maybe next year, but we've also got a lad at the moment, Ali Watson, who obviously he's played a few times. He's going to obviously start coming in and training a bit more as well as being out on loan. I think he's definitely one to watch as well. But yeah, we said last night in the meeting, we want to have the best young exciting talent here out on the pitch, and I think that's the way that we need to push it now.
Ashley Barhamel asks, my question would be, do you want to build a core of players that are signed long term to the club and committed, as he doesn't believe short term loans don't work?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. Obviously you always want long term. If you can get that bit of quality to add for your team for a month, then obviously we'll always look at that and take that as well. But yeah, we're always going to look obviously for long term players to come in, because obviously then we can build obviously that philosophy and identity with them too.
Harry asks, is Dan Sweeney part of your plans going forward?
Yeah. So Dan obviously had a COVID test, so he had to, obviously the last 2 weeks he's had to take off. But Dan's a great player, a very good player, very influential for us. And he knows he's got a lot to work on as well, and we're going to help him work on that. But no, he's definitely a big part of our plans.
Ross Newman asks, what objectives have you set with the owners? Firstly, short term this season, and then over the next 2 to 3 seasons. Yeah,
good question. I think for us, when the new owners come in, they've took it on at probably one of the worst times you can probably take in a club, and obviously all the development that you can see out on the ground is fantastic. But also then, and I was speaking to one of my mates about this as well, who's in the football game, you can't have everything. You can't have the new chairman, the new ground, a promotion all in one, so you have to take it in stages, I feel. And for us, we want to get above mid-table and pushing on into the playoffs, so that's our aim basically.
A question from Kieran Wells, he asks, my question, when's Ginner returning?
Well, Wells is obviously, we're never going to say no, we're never going to overlook anyone. Obviously Wells has been class, hasn't he? Here at one stage he really drove the club out of the trouble that they was in, so Wellesley, obviously we're not going to overlook it. It could be a possibility, but you never know.
A question from Owen, again mentioning Kieran Wells. He asks, my question would be, any chance of having Kieran Wells back and the formation changing, and thoughts on the league?
Yeah, I don't think when I think Andy was in charge, I think the formation changed quite a lot. I think now we've got the balance of how we want to play, and I think it's been really effective, as you can see in from the Royston game especially. The formation looks really good. So I think the formation for now will stay. Obviously we looked at another formation last night in the board meeting, just in case that one's not going as well. So yeah, and obviously again, Wellesley, you never know.
Tom Jenkins asks, how has the atmosphere and morale changed in the short term you've been in charge?
Yeah, it's changed massively. I think, listen, when we went in there, you could see that the lads, they've got the ability to do it. Again, they are still young, so it's like them believing and having that mentality that they are good players. But one big thing that me and Deke set about, and again we spoke about in the meeting last night, is we've got to connect with all these players before we start directing, and that's a massive thing. So getting to know them personally and coaching them as an individual in a system that we want. So it's all about motivating them and giving them the belief. But I think since we've been doing that, they've been fantastic. They're having a laugh. They're enjoying their football. And giving them a safe environment to play in a sense of like, it's okay to make mistakes out on the pitch, especially of how we want the boys to play. And I think that helps them as well, confidence-wise, and you can see that in the changing room and how they're conducting themselves now.
A couple of questions from the forum, and this is from Steve K. He asks, what have you put in place to ensure player fitness remains high during the current lockdown, and how are you retaining team spirit and motivation?
Yeah, so like I said, the GPS trackers, the lads will all have them from tomorrow, so we'll be able to track what they're doing, how long they're running, and obviously Jemiah, who's our analysis coach, he will basically checking up on the boys. In the group chat, obviously we've been having little like Warzone competitions and stuff like that, and Call of Duty to keep the boys together, and I'm sure we'll do one or two other things as well over the coming weeks.
This one from Pitman Keith, he says, do you see any more player movements in and out over the coming weeks, and what season's achievement would you be happy with come next April, May? Like we said, we're not just going to bring people in for the sake of it. It has to be the right fit for the club. There will possibly be, some player movements over the coming weeks, but again, it has to be the right personnel. Quite happy with what we got so far. Yes, we're probably a bit thin on numbers, but again, the right people have to come into the club. I think that's important. This one's from Purton Pittman. He asked, if you had to prioritise the one area of the pitch in which we need to seek to improve the squad, what would it be? And also he asked, out of all the things that you picked up during your playing career, what have you found to be the most useful to you now that you're a manager?
Good question. I think all over. I think we can improve all over. I wouldn't say there's one area. I think there's always room for improvement. And like I said, from when we first come into where the boys have come now, there's been a massive improvement in every single area. So I think all over. Regarding obviously from playing to coming into management, I used to be quite not angry, but I always demanded a lot of, and asked the manager a lot of questions, and I didn't like when obviously the manager wouldn't speak to me if there was certain decisions made. So I've always made it my duty to kind of make sure that the players, whatever decisions are made, they're always spoken to, and we've always got that relationship. So that's the big thing for me, is that we have that good connection between manager and player, always speaking to him, always asking him questions, what he thinks he can improve upon. Because I think a lot at this league, I don't think that, not all, but some managers help develop players. They expect the players to already have them tools, and they think, okay, you should know it, but they don't, not all the time. So for me, I always want to give the players that knowledge as well to be even better and kick on, either take us up the league or kick on to bigger and better.
Last question now comes from Joey Butland. He asks, does he wear a hat in the summer?
Joey, yeah, so Joey, I played with Joey. No, I don't, Joey, sometimes depending. Thank you.